Annyeonghaseyo. This is Newbies to Movies, a podcast that myself and Justin host, talking about new movies that we're watching. And we have a second time guest in Mason. He's been on here before. He was last time here for Emma Stone's podcast, but this year we're specifically going into Bong Joon Ho, the director himself. So yeah, awesome. We could just get into how we usually start it with what we've been watching for the past week, some shout outs that we like to do. Justin, if you want to start.
Yeah, obviously a big thing this past week was Stranger Things season 5 coming out. I got to watch the first 4 episodes of that, and so far, really good. Obviously, not everybody's seen it, so I'm not going to get into details, but I think they're, wrapping up the story well. They're answering a lot of questions, but they've also surprisingly opened up a lot of new questions, which I thought was interesting. I wasn't really expecting that, but I'm interested to see where it goes.
The director said that they should wrap it. Most questions should be answered at the end, but I feel like any show that has a finale, there's always answers left wide open with it. Yeah. Not even a spoil thing, but Mike's mom should have definitely been murked by the Demogorgon. Sure, if you have any Twitter or any Instagram presence, you've seen that she fights a Demogorgon and she should have lost. But anyways. What about you, Mason?
Mostly I've just been telling people that I'm going to watch Stranger Things soon. I haven't gotten around to it, but I watched the first episode of Pluribus pretty recently, the new show by Vince Gilligan, and it's got a really interesting premise, but I need to buy Apple TV if I want to watch the rest. It seems really good, though.
Yeah, I recommend it. I've watched up to date all the new episodes. I really like Pluribus. I'm a big Vince Gilligan fan since Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and the show's way different than both of those shows, but it's really
What's it about?
So it's like an alien species, not even an alien species, takes over the human race, and they all are like one hive mind, but except for 11 people in the world.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what it's based around. And
that's what Vecna's trying to do.
Pretty much. It's actually crazy how the hive mind is the same. And it's like the upside down, but in the real world.
He won.
But they're a super non-violent, I guess, entity or something. So that every time someone's violent, they lose their control or something. It's really interesting. I highly recommend getting into it if I was you. But man, you guys took both of mine because I've been watching both shows, Stranger Things and Pluribus. Other than that, I've been really just focusing. I mean, I rewatched Stranger Things from season 1. I watched every single episode leading up to it because I wanted to remember everything, and just because it's been 3 years, so it was forever for me. Other than that, just random rom-coms. I don't know, it's rom-com season for me. So I watched Sweet Home Alabama last night, and I was like, oh, this is nice. Real hungover on a Sunday, and then you're putting on some Sweet Home Alabama. I was like, let's go.
You got to put me onto that.
Yeah.
I wasn't hip. It was rom-com season.
Yeah, it's rom-com.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Awesome. So the theme this week is the director Bong Joon Ho, and the 2 movies that we picked were Memories for Murder and Parasite. Memories for Murder I haven't seen before, and then Justin hasn't seen Parasite before. So I thought it'd be really interesting. He's a Korean film director. He was born and raised there. He went to a university there. He was even been part of the Democratic and New Progressive Party within Korea itself while making all these different kinds of movies. Something about his movies is that he always goes into the class system of Korea itself. And even if it's not about Korea, it could be different areas. What do you guys think about him as a director?
Yeah. Before this, obviously we watched The Host a couple weeks ago on the podcast. And, we kind of got themes of the class systems that he always kind of brings up and talks about. I didn't really get to research it much, but I kind of wonder, what Korean society is in a sense, if that's a really big thing here. There, I was thinking, especially in America, we're kind of nullified to the idea of classes, just because the middle class is so large. We do obviously have a lot of billionaires and unfortunately a lot of poverty too in the States, but it's kind of nullified for everybody in the middle class just because we 90% of America is the middle class. So I wonder how that kind of plays out in Korea on a day-to-day basis.
I'm sure it is a lot more
defined, I guess.
It stands out a lot more there just because of how small the country is and how packed in everyone is. And I think that also seems to play a role in his movies.
And South Korea itself is a relatively new country because it used to just be Korea, and then the Korean War split it up. So I'm guessing not having like a huge long history. I mean, we're a pretty young country, but like they're like way younger than us. And then a lot of their culture is very westernized because of the Korean War, with like a bunch of their like different companies and entertainment wise. Like they have a very similar entertainment styles that we do as well, which I think is also interesting to get into.
Yeah, that's interesting because I was like, I don't know. It just seems strange to me that these like very Western style movies were being made in Korea, of all places.
It definitely is. I mean, he always talks about like a lot of different movies, Western style movies, and specifically Martin Scorsese like really has influenced him in the way he likes to make movies. So I'm guessing that's what he mainly studied growing up was Scorsese, Hitchcock, Carpenter, David Lynch. Those were, and Stanley Kubrick are like people that he always shouts out. So I think that also has a big impact on, a big impact on. Don't
My dog, he's a big fan of Korean politics.
Yeah.
He just gets excited.
He's letting
I'll keep
everyone
my
hear
finger
it.
on that. I'll keep watching them.
Okay.
No, I think I've seen him talk about a little bit too, just kind of getting into what you were saying. Different directors from America specifically that he's kind of taken inspiration from just throughout the two films this week, but also The Host, which we watched a couple weeks ago. And then I later found out that he also did Snowpiercer, which is a very Western film. He talks about in all four of those movies, different directors he took inspiration from to put those all together.
Yeah. And including Mickey 17 that came out this year is also his own movie that is mainly spoken. It's all in English, so other than like the alien language that's spoken in the movie. I think that's also really interesting. But cool. So the first movie that we're going to be going over is Memories of Murder. So Memories of Murder came out in 2003. And it's his second film, I'm pretty sure, out of his like entire filmography. Yep, it's his second. So his sophomore film. I was pleasantly surprised about this. I heard about it. A bunch of podcasts always talks about it. It's like it's one of the best 50 films of the 21st century. And I was not disappointed. I really liked it. And I also didn't know it was based off of a true story until at the end. Which I also think was interesting because usually true stories at the beginning, it tells you it's a true story, but this one waited till the end to really like resonate with you. And looking into it, we can get into a little later, but like the conclusion of this movie they did end up finding the killer like in 2014, which I thought was also really interesting. So after this movie was released, 10 years later, they found out who it was because he like confessed to it while he was already arrested for different murders. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so starting off with plot, you got it. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think that waiting until the end to reveal that makes it hit so much harder because you're just like, they haven't figured it out still.
Yeah. The whole ending of this movie is insane to me. Getting right into it with the plot, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I thought it was set up really interesting because within like the first 40 minutes, you're like, oh, they already solved the case. Like, what are we getting at here? But then you could just tell that they were jumping to conclusions. They weren't being real detectives at all. They just were kind of forced it out of him. They literally beat him up to get him to confess to a murder that he clearly could not do. It's pretty evident that he was not capable of doing a murder like that. And then the ending still sticks with me. Like, I think that's still an insane ending itself. What did you guys think?
I gave the plot a 9.3. I mean, it's a horrible, situation, especially that's based on a true story. But the way they like unravel it in this movie is so engaging. And I think the pacing is really well done. And I'm trying not to like get too into like the theme and all that now, but
I feel like those always kind of coincide though. So it's like the theme and the plot itself.
Yeah, it's just very engaging to see the like how like obviously Bong Joon Ho is always going to talk about like society and how societal systems are impacting people, and then you're seeing in this story like how their lack of progress in technology is like affecting the detective's ability to actually solve this case. Like they're waiting on America. They don't have this forensic evidence themselves. Like even when they say in the movie, like this is the forensics team, you're like, it's the forensics team. They've just been kicking dudes and taking pictures of people the whole time. So I thought it was a very unique way to tell like this kind of police story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the plot was really well done, and I think it used the different, character, or I'd say probably caricatures just to kind of get into the different perspectives, right? Like most people in that situation would be just dying for an answer. And then you had that guy. He was just trying to just pin it on somebody so he could get over with it and get it out of his life. Even though he did deeply care about it, he was just trying to pin it on somebody so he could get an answer and move on to the next thing. But then you also had people who were kind of standing on that moral high ground and saying, like, no, you can't just do this. Like, we need to find the actual answer. And I think the use of the characters to just tell the plot and carry the story along was so well done in this.
Yeah, I think it's just really interesting because it's set in like the 80s and 90s where they didn't have the technology to really like what Mason was going after to be able to like back it up like with actual real genetics and all that kind of stuff, really relying on what America had at that time, which is also not a lot. Because during this time, I mean, it's one of the most popular like Korean serial killers in like their entire history, just because one, this movie, but also like how it took them so long to end up finding him. And that's basically, if they had DNA at that time, they probably would have found him pretty quick because that's really what ended up getting him at the end of the day. When he was in 2019, when he was actually found and identified as the suspect for all these killings. Because in the movie itself, it only shows about like 4 to 5 of the killings, when in reality it was over a dozen, which is even crazier to think about in itself, that were in that area, all very similar ways. It's very interesting to just think about, especially at the end when they're like, oh, what did he look like? And they're like, it looked like any normal person. Like you would never been able to recognize them.
That's like the most like haunting part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially because you think about American serial killers who really were started to become a thing in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They're all very, I want to say iconic, but very like standout-ish, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, like this one seems to go against that idea.
Well, I think it's that, but I think it's also how the story's told. Think about how American, slashers, if you want to say, or horror movies are told too. We always see at least a little bit of the killer's perspective, even if it's just that first initial killing and you don't see their face, they're in a shadow doing it. There was no action of us seeing the actual killings in this. Besides, I mean, you can talk about the little boy getting hit by the train, but besides that, there was no seeing a guy with a knife doing the killing. There was just completely, you have to try to figure it out like the cops. And I think that was why the plot was so well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just never gives the audience like a lot of these movies, the audience will figure it out before the cops do. And then it's just frustrating waiting for the cops to figure it out. But in this movie, you're in it with them the whole time.
Yeah. You're going through the evidence with them, and then you're getting just as frustrated as they were probably getting, and as personal as it got. Just like, especially because they use, which again, this is speaking about the 80s, I guess, or maybe like really big mistake on their part of like using somebody as bait, as like there's a difference between like undercover work and you just straight up using someone as bait that they do in this movie. And then the fact that she's ended up killing, I'm sure like for them, it got super personal after that. Cause I mean, it was basically their fault of why she was even targeted in the first place, because they made her such a big target. And she even thought about like taking off the red jacket before going out, and then still didn't matter at that point. Yeah. Getting to characters, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I thought the characters were really compelling, and each of the 3 main detectives all played like a different type of main character, like type, I guess. Like you had the one that was really scientifically based, trying to be at that time, very serious. The other one was kind of a jokester, but also at the same time, you couldn't really take him that serious because he wasn't that serious of a guy. He just wanted to be famous. And the other guy was like the very violent grunt guy who was just straight up just beating up everyone and hitting them with shoes.
Yeah. No, I think I kind of got into it with the plot, but I think that, having the different archetypes, I guess you could say, of detective, police officer was a perfect way to convey this story, because you're going to have, different people watching this. And I feel like everybody could kind of attribute themselves to how they would react with one of these archetypes.
Yeah. You had like a guy that he said that he could just like find a criminal based off of looking at them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay. And then he clearly could not, because he just never did. It was like, at some points it was like laughable but then he like was able to notice some like weird stuff. But like at the end of the day, like you can't go based off of people being weird. Like when like the one guy by the construction site had like a girl's panties on, like under that he was wearing. Like obviously that's weird, like what's the coincidence of that happening? But
Yeah.
like at the same time, it's like there's just some weird people out there, and like you can't just sum that up to being like a killer in the same place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then, and that coincides with like the ending where she was like, it was just an ordinary person. And the whole
Yeah.
time that detective has just been looking for weird people like his whole
Yeah.
career.
Yeah. Like he specifically like points out weird people until like the very, what they say in the movie is like the more attractive like suspect that they had, but that was like out of the ordinary, and that's why he didn't think he could be it, but the other detective did.
Yeah.
And then getting cinematography, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I thought it was really well shot. The scene kept going back to like the first like crime scene that they caught it at, and then with like the cemetery post outside of like right where she was killed or her body was found, like the imagery of that going out on the field, I thought was just like very iconic and really like a sad and part of the film. I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, I agree. I think, they used a lot of different things, obviously, to just display, obviously not as much, but he definitely used cinematography at some points to display the different social classes. And we see that just throughout the different areas in the city. But I think it was done really well in this movie. And I don't think he misses, from what I can tell, with his other movies either.
Yeah. I don't know if this is cinematography or like directing, but I really liked how he would just use these like very long shots where you just like sit on a character's face for like 10, 15 seconds and just like let your mind kind of fill in the blank what's going on in their face and in their mind and the emotion that they're conveying. I thought that made the movie a lot more intense than it would have been if it was like flashier, quicker cuts.
Yeah. And like also running scenes. So like a situation would be happening, for example, when their first suspect gets or like they are bringing him to the crime scene to like call him out to all the press, and they just have that scene running with like his family yelling at him, and it's like all in one cut scene. I thought that was really well done as well. Really made you feel impacted. And then as well as like the dungeon or like the cellar that they would like interrogate people in, I thought that was also like a very gloomy like area. And then also after like beating up this guy, they just have him eating noodles, watching TV with them, literally sitting right next to each other. And I was like, wow, that's just different.
Yeah. I think he did a good job at portraying like everything was so unorganized at this time. I think back to the first time they get to their first crime scene, he was just like, there's camera people everywhere. There's just like obviously just incriminating all over the crime scene, and nobody seemed to care. But I mean, to go along with what you're doing, like they're just beating some guy in the cellar and then eating noodles with him. Like it was just a mess.
Yeah. And I think that this town was just not ready for like some real big murders happening right there. They just weren't prepared for like such big press, and they just weren't prepared. Like overall, none of them were trained like well enough to actually be able to properly like follow through. Getting into dialogue, I gave it 8 out of 10 too, because obviously you're going to miss some parts once you like translate it and you're just reading English while they're like vocal acting. You're always going to miss some stuff. And like, there's always, again, like some probably Korean like culture type of stuff that I don't think any of us would really understand or really be able to pick up on. I'm sure some people that live in South Korea would be able to pick up on. But with that being said, I still thought like the communication styles in between each other was very real and very understanding, and really got after like each of the, what you would call archetypes of like the 3 different detectives.
Yeah.
I like that it was like the dialogue was not written to be dramatic. Like it's just written to be like real conversations, real emotions, but it still makes for a very dramatic movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. I feel like, more in Western cinema, we really like dramatize language. And when I was watching this movie, I didn't feel, it almost kind of like took down the dialogue a little bit for me, because I was so like, oh, they're just like normal talking most of the time in this movie, besides maybe like the end scene that carried so much weight, but like it was just normal talking. And so it was a little bit of an adjustment for me at the beginning, because they were dealing with such serious stuff, but there wasn't like deep, heavy weighted dialogue. And that's not a knock against the movie. It's just, you kind of had to adapt your watching because of how different it is compared to American films.
Yeah. Like coming away from this movie, there's not as many quotable stuff because it's not like long speeches that people are giving, but rather like real conversations of like back and forth of them like trying to figure it out in real time, but them also not really knowing what to do. Even the guy that was a little bit more serious, a little bit more stern and seemed like to have scientific backing, for all his stuff, he still really had no idea what he was doing at the end of the day. And then he lets his emotions get to him at the end almost. So, and then getting into acting, I gave it 8 out of 10. There's one actor that's in both of these movies, Song Kang-ho. We also saw him with The Host. He's been amazing in all three of the movies that we've seen. And he plays such a different kind of wonky characters in these kind of movies. It's like really just interesting at like the diversity that he has to be able to play these different kinds of roles. What do you guys think of the acting?
Yeah, everything I've seen him in so far, he's just been weird, but in like its own way in every movie. Like this one, obviously, he's kind of like just picking on people. He just wants to like get this stuff over with and get on with it. Obviously, you find out later how much he really does care about it, but initially it's kind of dumb. In The Host, he kind of plays like the goofy son who's got nothing going for him. Parasite, he's the father. He's kind of, he's not as goofy in Parasite, but he is kind of a goofy guy. He's just trying to figure it out in the world.
Yeah, cool. And then getting into sound effects, I gave it 8 out of 10. I think overall, what was great about it was it added like cool things towards different parts of the scene, especially like when we talk about like drawing out like scenes of just looking at the faces of each of the actors and the characters. The music also added to that eeriness and like dramatized effect that wasn't always done by the dialogue itself.
Yeah, I thought the soundtrack was good. I think it used music to convey the plot and kind of bring together storylines and just kind of overall flow of the story.
I liked how little soundtrack there was in this movie. Like, there's so many parts where they're like in the interrogation room or something's happening and it's just silent. Like when that one lady's just walking alone and like singing, and then she hears the guy whistle and stops. Like, that's exactly what it'd be like in real life. Like, it's dead. Like, it's so much scarier, dead silent than it would be with like some big buildup of eerie music. But I really liked how like minimal the soundtrack and score was for this movie.
I think a lot of these movies that we've watched throughout this podcast, the more minimal the like, soundtrack is, usually like the better dramatized and better dialogue scenes that we talk about them seeing it. At least that's what I've noticed as we were watching more and more of these type of movies. The more minimal the soundtrack is, it's probably more memorable, like the lines that are being said in the movie, compared to like Christopher Nolan films are known for its great soundtrack, but not as much as their dialogue. So I think it's like very interesting.
I'd say I'd take that one step even further when like a good composer, like say for instance Hans Zimmer, repeatedly uses like the same, lick of a song over and over. Like I think of Interstellar. It's the same thing. Like instead of having a bunch of different music all in one movie, just using like the same few songs a couple times over in the movie, just keeping it simple, it makes it that much better.
And then getting into set design, I gave it a 9 out of 10. It felt very real. I mean, I've never been to Korea before. I would love to go someday, but it felt very real. It's been quietly regarded for like, it was shot there. So it was shot in the areas that the murders actually happened. So it was very realistic.
Wow.
Very well done as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I thought the set design looked great. Obviously, you were kind of all over the city, but it stayed consistent. Even when you're out in the farmlands compared to head base in the city or underground in the cellar, it stayed pretty consistently feeling. I didn't feel like I was in a ton of different places.
And then directing, I gave it a 9 out of 10. His other movies, I just think are really impressive. I really like the way he tells the story. Most of these stories that we see about them, it's not his own screenplay, but rather him adapting it to the way that he wants to tell his story. And I think it's very interesting how he gets into class no matter what the film is about itself, but then also at the same time puts his like nice, simple twist on it to where you get surprised, but at the same time, it's very understanding.
Yeah. I love how it's like, he doesn't compromise the story itself or the like entertainment value of the movie to talk about the class like topics that he hits on. Like, you could watch either of these movies and never think that it's about like any class or social issues if you just weren't paying attention, and still enjoy the movie. But it's still there if you do want to get into that.
Yeah, I think he's really like high up on my list now as a director. Specifically with this movie, it never felt rushed. It never felt like it was dragging either. Consistently felt like I was entertained in the plot, kind of like Mason was saying. You could not really pay too close attention, or you could pay all the attention in the world and still enjoy the movie either way.
Yeah, for sure. Getting into editing, I gave it 7 out of 10. It's not really a hit on it. I think it was just normal. Nothing too bad to say about it. And I think it was pretty well done. What do you guys think?
Yeah, compared to his other movies too, I think it's definitely like the movie kind of looked a little old, which I know he probably was purposely trying to do that too with it taking place in the 80s, but obviously only so much editing you can get in there. So I think it was fine.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I mean, it's also his sophomore film. So, like, at this point, he didn't have, like, the biggest budget still at this point compared to some of his later movies. And the next one that we're going to be talking about with him, where he had, like, quite a larger budget to be able to, like, edit his certain ways, probably make it look a little less grainy as it does in this movie. But this movie is clearly held up over time pretty well. And lastly, into theme, I got it a 9 out of 10. One, because I think murder mysteries are always such like an interesting concept for me. I listen to like crime podcasts all the time. I watch crime shows like true crime and I think this was such an interesting way to look at it because like we said earlier, most crime movies that you watch, you see it through like the killer's lens or you know what's going on.
Yeah.
And there's very few crime movies where you don't. And like this is one of them that you just don't know what's actually going on. And then at the end, it tells you they still didn't know in 2003 what happened or who the killer was. So, yeah.
I would give it like a 9.6, 9.7 because like I mean he's just hitting on all of these different themes and doing it so well, like systematic failure with like the police system that they had there and the class, all the class system stuff. He's talking about like trauma and like how these guys that they're torturing like end up confessing even though they didn't even do it, but they just got beat so much that they go, oh, I think I did this.
Yeah.
Just touching on so much like deep stuff.
He's not scared to go after a theme either. Sometimes you feel that directors maybe just want to focus on like one major theme. He's not scared to just kind of throw it all into a movie and address it when he gets there kind of thing, which is I respect because I like when there's a lot going on in a movie. It makes me feel entertained rather than getting bored after the first 20 minutes of hearing about it.
Yep. I agree. So overall, I gave this film an 8.5 out of 10 or 85 out of 100. Pretty high ranking for me. I really enjoyed it. Would highly recommend this movie to anyone. It's on Tubi, so it's free to watch for anybody that wants to go out there and watch it and wants to actually like dive into like Korean films because it's like a whole different type of like filmmaking, in my opinion. Like all the ones I've watched, it's just totally different than like a Western style filmmaking.
Yeah, I gave it a 8.2 out of 10, 82. I really enjoyed this movie. Obviously, strong themes of just institutional failure. Jason kind of touched on it, just social injustice, but also in a world that kind of feels indifferent about everything that's going on. And just seeing that, brought out through the characters was a pretty amazing watch. I definitely recommend it too.
Yeah, I'll give it like a 92, 93 for me. I'm a little more lenient, but this movie rocks. I fell asleep the first time I tried to watch it because I was just so tired, but man, it's a good movie.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Now we're transitioning to the other movie. Parasite being the other movie came out in 2019. Justin, if you want to take it.
Yeah. Kind of just getting into the background of this movie for me. I've heard so many people talk about it and, talk it up. I've never heard anybody talk bad about this movie, and I've been wanting to watch this for a long time. Just
You're
really
not
haven't
about
got
to.
around to it. Yeah. And so kind of getting into the plot. First, this one came out in 2019, which we'll do a movie draft on later in this episode for the year 2019. Obviously, coming into this, he's a seasoned vet now. So he was kind of primed up to make something good. Getting into the plot, the Kim family is, young, struggling family. They are living basically in a hole in the ground in the city, and they're trying to figure out a way just to, make money. That's kind of shown in the beginning of the movie. They're literally folding pizza boxes for money for food, and they basically cleverly infiltrate the Park family, acting as unrelated, just kind of doing odd jobs. One's a tutor, one's a driver, one's a nanny, one's an art teacher. Like it's just kind of all over the place. They kind of sneak in. And then definitely in the second act, it takes a hard right turn when they discover, while the Park family's gone, they discover a secret bunker in the Park family's home. And it kind of takes a hard right turn there. And yeah, I don't even know where to get into it with all that, but I gave the plot a 9. I don't want to bore anybody here. If you've seen it, you've seen it. But obviously a really tragic ending at the end of the story too.
Yeah, there's like so many twists and turns from this because you're like, oh, it's going perfect for them. A little too perfect. Yeah. Like them, literally, we can get into like the name of the film itself being a parasite and who's the parasite in all this. Like, I don't know. We could talk about that for like a long time.
Yeah, you're saying like it's going too perfect for them. You know something's going to go wrong, but then it's like, I never thought it was going to be that.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know that the other lady had, because they also said that she was perfect and she was there before with the architect. Her husband was down there. And then it turns table way too quick on them because the family decides to come back while it's raining. And then, yeah, it just jumps into like some craziness. The whole like entire last like 20 minutes is insane too.
Yeah. I mean, what you're getting into about the title being Parasite, like you could make a case for anybody in this movie to being the parasite it's talking about. Obviously, you have the guy living underground, the old nanny's husband, literally leeching off of them. But you also have the Kim family who is, taking money from them. And then you would argue, well, are they even the parasites? Because the Park family is literally using their lives to make their lives better.
Yeah.
So it's just, it could be anybody.
Yeah, but it could be anybody. And then it just turns table when the father like just decides to stab Mr. Kim because he got tired of him telling him that he's stinky.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot deeper than that, but like I just thought he just kept saying about his weird smell, and then like he smells the other like old dude, and he just, I don't know, that like, triggers him in his head, and he's like, you know what, screw this guy, he's not better than me. But,
yeah.
And then getting into the characters, I gave it a 9. I think every character was well written, and I think you could even like add another hour to this movie and go deeper in on some characters. For instance, like the Park family's daughter, she was touched on, especially her relationship with the Kim family's son, but there's all kinds of people I think you could just go a little bit more deeper on if you wanted to, but not a complaint at all. Yeah. Like I said, I gave it a 9. I think all the characters were great, but you could dive even deeper into it if you wanted. And that's how well I think this movie does at diving into all 10, 11 different characters in this movie.
Yeah. Like you don't need to understand too in depth about who they are or like their entire history. And you can really just play off of like what their stereotypes or their archetypes in this movie are. Cause like she's more like the sheltered, rich daughter who needs help like passing her exam, but then talking with the Kim's family or the Parks family's son friend saying like, oh yeah, I'm into her before. That's why I want you to tutor. And then they end up hitting it off and like making out and all that. So it's like, okay, yeah. Well, also that sheltered preacher's daughter kind of vibe, kind of girl.
Yeah. Well, also like all of their motives, because they're all getting something out of this parasitic relationship. You can kind of, every single character's motive was completely dived in on.
Other than the boy.
Yeah.
poor little guy's just traumatized at the end of the day.
His motive was he just wanted to be an Indian.
It's not his fault. He was born into it.
He just wanted to be camping.
And then getting into cinematography, I gave it a 10. I kind of talked about it last movie, but I don't think he misses when it comes to cinematography. Kind of getting into some things I read about. He used stairs to show like promotion and demotion in society and in the world. And he actually cited Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock with the use of stairs, which I thought that was pretty interesting. We talked about kind of his influence from American directors and, just more westernized directors. I know Hitchcock's British, but, and then he also used lighting and shadows really well, especially when they were hiding into the tables, stuff like that. Everything was kind of eerie when they were creeping around. And then a lot of split shots to show the difference between wealthy and poor, especially when looking out the windows in the house, that one scene.
Yeah, I saw something interesting about cinematography that he added lines and you could see throughout the movie that whenever like the Park family is talking to the Kim family or the maid before is talking to the Kim family, that there's like a split line splitting up like the rich and poor, which I think is so interesting that I didn't really notice until I read that online. And then when I rewatched it, I saw it and I was like, that's genius. I was like, holy crap.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that he did that.
Mason, did you pick up anything else on cinematography?
No, I mean, you pretty much got it. It's all showing the division of class and it's gas. It's so good.
He's lost for words, right?
That's my contribution. It's really good.
And then getting into dialogue, I gave it an 8. Kind of like we referenced last time. Sometimes I think with him specifically, I think he doesn't really have like these really deep open monologues. It's just really realistic dialogue at all times, which is really good, especially when, trying to portray the story in a manner that I think most people could relate to. But there was one specific line that I really liked. Mr. Kim's son was talking to him about, having a plan after they almost got caught. And obviously they found the people in the cellar in the basement. He said, no plan at all. You know why? Because life cannot be planned. I thought that was really deep and obviously a little bit of foreshadowing leading to what he does later in the movie.
Yeah, I thought the dialogue in between the Park family and the Kim family was like so real, like such a drastic difference. And then how they interacted with each other, you could just tell that there was such like a class difference. And Kim family thought of themselves like so high and mighty, like being way better than anybody that below them, pretty much in a way. Specifically, Mr. Kim, really, which ended up leading to like him killing him at the end of the day because he just thought he was better than everyone. Such a transactional family too. Like the Kim family itself is very transactional. Seemed like, everybody was getting something. They were getting something out of every relationship that they had, and none of it seemed that genuine in the first place. Maybe that's just like speaks more about like really rich people and their wealth.
And then getting into set design, I gave it a 9. Obviously, we talked about the contrast between rich and poor, and it was made really prevalent, especially in the sets. Beautiful sets for the Park family house, beautiful house, nice like lawn, everything like that. And then you go to the Kim family, and obviously it's a horrid mess. It eventually ends up flooding, which is obviously just kind of a metaphor for how their life was going at that point. But it wasn't much better beforehand anyway. I thought it was really great.
Yeah, it's just like, that's just like a real thing that happens to people. Like,
yeah.
But it's part of the reason why like people end up not in the upper classes, just because
always held
a
down.
flood happens, a natural disaster happens, something completely out of their control happens. Like everything in the movie is speaking to this class system.
Yeah. And then you also got like a karma factor that comes into it, right? Because they get really wealthy by the Kim family leaving and then them all watching over the house, but really just full greed at its like honest truth of what they are. The moment they have a chance to, they are eating all their food, they're drinking everything, they're drinking the most expensive alcohol. And then what happens? Like their life falls apart right after that because they just like, I don't know, like if one of them was home, they would have closed the window and who knows if it floods like that. So it's just like, there's consequences for everyone's actions in this movie, in my opinion. That's like something that I think adds up to it.
Getting into acting, I gave it an 8. I think it was really well done in this movie. Everybody played a great role in this. Like I said, all the characters were really delved in on, except for the little boy, but everybody had their own motives in this. And I think it was really good, really well done.
Yeah, I thought they were really interesting to see like the difference in how they act while being with just their family, like the Park family, and then when they're actually with like playing their roles or being con artists, pretty much, they're just like acting way different. They pretty much just quote lines that they read on the web, like read online. They were just straight up like looking up stuff online and then just quoting it based off like articles that they just randomly read, which makes you even think like, you really can't trust anybody's word of mouth, and like because you can just fake a resume as well as long as you can like back yourself up by talking well enough.
Yeah.
But like they weren't going to go through that effort. Like the Kim family was going to go to the effort of like, because they'll just believe anything. She was the most gullible person in like the entire film.
Yeah. And getting into directing, I gave it a 9. I thought it was perfect how he told it in 3 acts. Obviously, you had the beginning act where they were getting the jobs, becoming the con artists. And then the second act really dives into them, falling into that greed, but also finding the cellar in the basement and having to deal with that. And then the third act is, kind of the climax, them dealing with that and the downfall of their greed and back right to square one, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then for soundtrack, I gave it a 7. I said it was good. Nothing stood out in particular, but they used music and to build suspense when needed. And the sound design was pretty great too.
Yeah, I didn't think the sound design stood out too much to me, at least compared to everything else in the movie. It didn't feel like a particularly strong point.
Yeah, but maybe that also speaks to like the simplicity of it, right? Because it didn't need to be something else about like his like his other films that we've seen. He doesn't really rely on like a crazy effectful like, soundtrack, but rather just simple tones that either are repetitive or just adds a little bit to the scene, but he's just relying on like the acting and like the scene playing out.
Yeah, exactly. And then getting into the theme, I hate to bring it up for the 10th time this podcast episode, but obviously themes of class and inequality, social stratification, and I thought the film used physical spaces really well, really, really well done. Just like to divide the rich and poor, kind of how you were talking about, Tyler, how there's always kind of those lines shown in there.
Mhm.
And then, overall greed for both the Park and Kim family really in the movie. And then just the struggle of social mobility, kind of, once you feel like you're moving up that ladder, just kind of getting stuck or falling back down. Like Mason had mentioned, it kind of keeps you trapped in there. And
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty awesome. And like I said, he's not scared to go after any of these, one, really hard themes, but two, putting it all together and really just going at all of them.
Yeah, I mean it's so good, dude. It's like, it's just such a well done just caricature of wealth inequality in Western culture. Like you have the lower classes fighting each other and trying to get to where the upper class is, while like having distaste for thinking that the upper class looks down on them. Like even with the like what Tyler was talking about earlier with the smell thing.
Mhm.
Mr. Park kept like saying like it's like a stink to him, and it's like,
Yeah.
man, I'm doing everything, like I'm driving you around, but I'm just this stinky poor guy. And then that just gets to him because he thought the money would like like they say earlier in the movie, like I think Mrs. Kim says like having that much money like washes away all your darkness or whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I have all this money and I'm still just like poor smelly guy to him. Like, F this. And
Yeah.
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 I could ramble
Like-
on about that.
A lot of boundaries were crossed into like their personal life, but they also were relying on them for every aspect of their life, cooking all their meals, taking them everywhere, picking up everything.
Yeah.
And at that point, when you have some people doing that for like every facet of your life and you don't expect them to get in your personal life, I'm sorry, but that's just not going to happen. Like people are going to get in your personal life because you are involving them in their personal life. I mean, you had them all there at your birthday party that you invited them to. So like at that point, they were also crossing that boundary, but then they were also upset when people crossed their boundary. So it's just like it's kind of like a critical at some points.
Yeah. It's like I think there's definitely huge critique on just the idea of the exchange of wealth for like goods and services, or at least services, labor in this case.
Yeah.
And like how much of a disconnect that builds, where you can just say, well, I'm not doing this for you. I'm just paying you to do this.
Yeah.
So just do it and take my money,
Yeah, exactly.
versus like actual culture. And I don't know.
For the final scene, did you guys take that as like him just dreaming about that happening, or do you think that actually ended up happening?
I think it happened. I mean, the kid, he got a job, didn't he, and bought the house?
But then it cuts back to him like writing back to his father. So do you think that was like something about him dreaming about it and writing about like what he predicts for his life, or do you think it actually did happen? Or do you think
I just assumed he was writing through the passage of time and was going to give that to his dad the next time he saw him, because he had no way of delivering it to his dad.
Yeah, it's just interesting too, because he's like, oh, then you can just walk out. So did he get it to him somehow? And then, because then the dad does walk out, and it's like, how would he know to walk out at that point?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just interesting.
What do you think, Mason?
I don't know, but the movie's so good.
I thought, I mean, it's just very interesting. What was your guys' like favorite character? Most
Hold on, I got one more category. I got editing, and I wanted to talk about this one specifically because I thought it was so cool with the basement with the dad, especially throughout the whole movie. Like, I think the basement was a symbol for karma, and how when they edited it, it was always like panning in and panning out. And that doorway was always pitch black. Even if there was lights were on in the basement, it was pitch black. And it was like, that is coming to get you. Whatever's down there is coming to get you. If it's your karma, if it's that guy. I thought that was so cool, like looking back. And it edited so well. I gave it a 9.
Yeah. No,
that's crazy.
That's a really cool thing to point out. Yeah, I always noticed it was like incredibly dark, but I never got it as like a point of like, that's what's going to get you. And like that end of the day, like that part of it Yeah.
And the like the son seeing the super poor guy who was living in their space traumatized them, just being like
Yeah.
a metaphor for like if you're super sheltered and then you see like, oh, this is what the slums are really like this is
Yeah.
what like how bad life can get. That would traumatize you as a kid.
It was also
That's
super
crazy.
creepy. It was also super creepy, but it's
Yeah.
like super
Yeah.
creepy, well shot scene. Like it
Yeah, I
looked really
mean,
cool.
yeah, creepy face might traumatize you too.
I
Yeah.
gave it overall an 8.7 or an 87 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie, and I definitely, like, after talking about this with you guys, like, I want to go back and rewatch it and just look for like more little subtle things, because I feel like he did that a lot in this movie.
I gave it a
Uh,
9.4 out of 10 or 94 out of 100. My highest ranking movie that we've done on this podcast. So I really like this movie.
Yeah, I'd give it a 9.7.
There we go.
It's up there for me. It's like top 3.
Yeah, I mean, this was rated by New York Times the best movie of the 21st century for a reason. Like,
Wow.
it's that special. It's also the first international film to win the Best Picture award. Like, non-Western, like non-British, non-European, non-American movie that won the Best Picture, which I think is also like significant. And it was like a big stepping stone for like getting these different types of directors, these different areas, like the proper recognition that they deserve too. So I think that was, cool. We can do this real quick just before we get into the draft itself. But now I've seen Bong Joon Ho and I've seen 5 of his movies now. So I'm just going to do like a small ranking of the movies that I've seen from him. So number 1, I'll put Parasite. Number 2, I would put Memories of Murder. Number 3, The Host. Number 4, Snowpiercer. And then number 5 being Mickey 17. Saw Mickey 17 this year.
I haven't seen Mickey 17, but I think I like Snowpiercer just a little bit more than The Host. But besides that, I think good list.
Yeah, I've never
Jason,
seen
have
The
you seen
Host or Mickey 17, so might have it just be the same, but Snowpiercer third.
Yeah, and then Okja is also another
Snowpiercer.
one. No, Okja is another one that has Jake Gyllenhaal in it, which I think would also be interesting to like branch out and try to watch because it's also very English speaking language.
What were you saying about Snowpiercer, Mason?
I was just gonna say that it like when I first saw that when I was like 13, it like blew my mind. But watching it again, I was like, oh, this maybe isn't so good.
It is again another crazy movie about social class that he really just dives all the way into. I'm interested to see like what he does in the future and his different works that he does.
Yeah, let's hook him up with like Hans Zimmer, because a recurring theme was a lack of soundtrack. Like, let's just see what'll happen. I'm just curious.
Yeah. I'm just interested if he's going to go back to like a Korean film because since he just did Mickey 17, which is mainly English actors and English speaking language, like throughout the film. So I'm wondering if he's going to go back to like more of a Korean based kind of film. Be interesting. Cool. So next we're going to get into the draft.
Oh, jeez.
So this is going to be the 2019 draft. Because we just said I've only seen 5 of his films. We haven't seen enough to actually properly do anything else with Bong Joon Ho. So I thought 2019 would be cool because this is the year, like the 2020 Oscars, that Parasite won for Best Picture, which I think is very significant for his time. And I think it'd be cool to just go back to that year. Before we get into like the categories and picking our names, what do you guys think about 2019 when you look back at just these films in general? And what did you think of this year? Because this is like pre-COVID, like almost right before COVID, which I think is also significant for the box office and the overall like film industry at this time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like hindsight's 2020, but like looking back, I mean, what a year! Obviously, after like COVID hit, you're gonna have everything fall off, especially when it comes to box office and numbers and stuff like that. But I mean, wow, I didn't realize how many of these movies came out that year, and just kind of diving into it all was good year.
Yeah, I wouldn't have, if you just mentioned 2019 movies to me, I wouldn't be like, oh, it's a crazy year. But looking back and actually going through the movies, definitely a lot of good movies came out.
Yeah, I just look back at how spoiled we probably were at that time. I mean, this is like also peak Marvel. Like, I mean, this is when Endgame comes out. This is also when we all graduated high school. So this is also like a weird time for us going into like a different part of our lives. Like some of us college at this point, like just totally different, starting at a different point. That was also really cool to like look back on like what movies came out that year that really like foreprinted like, because I remember seeing like, for example, I remember seeing Joker as like a freshman in college when I was like bold, and like that was like my first free chance to be like free on like a Saturday night, and we all decided to go see the Joker. Really sad movie to see when you're like not at the best point in your life, but anyway.
I finally get to have one fun night out.
Yeah, you go to see like one of the most depressing movies of all time.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'll get right into like what the categories are. So the categories that we had for this Oscar nomination, and just like the last year draft that we did, you have to call out the nomination. So when you pick a movie, you have to say what it was nominated or won award for at the Oscars. For box office, we did over 400 million worldwide, because this was a crazy box office year. There's like 20 movies that accounts for over 400 million. Usually we do a lot less, but not as many movies could account for all of that. And then drama, thriller, comedy, animation, action, horror, and then a new category of what movie you thought is underrated or overrated, and then a wild card like we usually do, just kind of fill in the gaps. So 7 different categories. Cool. So I'll spin the wheel, and of course it's Justin. It's always Justin first. Every single time. Just his wheel just knows it.
Yeah. You can just
all
lie.
Right, Mason, you're second. Mason, you're second.
Tyler, we can't see it. You could just lie one of these times.
I could, but you know what? I'm a man of integrity, and I will not lie.
Honest Abe over here.
Yeah. All right, Justin, you got the first overall pick.
Yeah. So first overall pick, I'm just going to rip this one right out from underneath all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to we do it under drama thriller for Parasite.
Yeah. I knew you were going.
We just talked about it a ton. So yeah. I ain't going to harp on it.
That's like the number 1 overall pick. It should be, which is crazy to say about like a crazy year, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I think there's a clear number 1 with some of the best movies of this century. Damn, I was really hoping to get that.
Ripped.
Yeah, that's a big old L for me. I'm gonna take Oscar nominee for Best Picture, 1917.
Yeah, it was between those two for me, and I really love 1917.
What a good movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
All in one take. Blew my mind. You know, it's not really in one take.
Yeah. Looks like it is, though. And that's what's cool about it.
It's like, it's maybe like 3 or 4. It's a low number.
It's still crazy impressive.
Also a crazy cast. Like the main two guys aren't like big names or anything, but the rest of the people, it's just, he's got some random British guys just popping up, and you're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite like movie theater experiences, was watching that movie.
If I could go back in time, it'd probably be that, to watch in theaters for the first time, just for what that movie is and does, like cinema wise.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theaters when it came out that year. Yeah.
I'd be surprised if
you can't really go. Yeah. You can't really go wrong with a lot of these picks, honestly. So really, I'm just looking at like, where do I think is a little bit lower, like category wise? And I'm going to go with Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor, Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think Brad Pitt is so special in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I mean, they're making a separate movie with just him as like the main character because of how good he's in that. Like, I really like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Some people don't like it as much on like Tarantino's list, but I really like it personally. And yeah,
great movie.
Fantastic movie.
He really stands out in that film too, which is, again, next to Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt somehow.
Yeah. I think that might be his best movie for me.
Yeah. I think it's his best performance.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think it's his most special performance. I like Inglourious Basterds personally more as a movie.
Yeah. It is tough to beat that Italian.
Yeah. Yeah. Just 2 like completely different roles too. Cool. Man, gotta look at this and see if I just want to rip off the Band-Aid or if I want to go with a movie that I think is personally better. I'm going to go with over 400 million, and I'm just going to rip off the Band-Aid and take Endgame.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
Yeah. Like, I feel like this category isn't as deep as the other ones. That's really why I wanted to take it. Also, like a cultural phenomenon of a movie. I mean, it's the highest grossing movie ever made. for a reason. I mean, peak Marvel. The movie itself doesn't have the most rewatchable capability, but like watching it in theaters for the first time, nothing can beat that. Like it was such a special moment to watch it in theaters for the first time.
Yeah, it was obviously coming off of Infinity War too. You need that. Not as good as Infinity War, but honestly, I don't get the hate that it gets
No.
for being the kind of predecessor. So good.
Any like finale episode of a show, final like thing of an entire saga, usually it's really hard to live up to the hype to that. Like super hard.
Yeah.
Watching a show currently Stranger Things, who knows if it's going to live up to the hype that the entire show has lived out to. Really hard to live up to it. And I think they did what they needed to do with it. And I thought at the end of the day, I thought it was really well done. Still a top 10 Marvel movie.
Yeah.
That's another crazy movie theater experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People next to you bawling their eyes out.
Yeah.
You were
On your
sitting
left.
next to me, Mason.
Hey, I didn't say it wasn't me.
All right, Mason, it's your second pick.
Okay. I was so prepared for this part. I'm going to go just what I like the best. Comedy, action, The Peanut Butter Falcon.
I thought neither of you have seen this before.
Dude, it's like the most wholesome movie.
Yeah. Yeah. What a role for Shia LaBeouf too. Like Shia LaBeouf
Was that like
comes, this is
that it?
still like after like the just do it phase of his life where after Transformers and then like everyone thought he was on, I mean, he like did too much cocaine. It was like way too hype all the time. And then he like had those videos of like, just do it. And then
Allegedly.
And then he came out with this like super like wholesome movie that, dude, it's such a good watch. Like if you haven't seen this, Justin, like if you just want to sit down like a Friday or Saturday and just have like at the movie, you're like, hell yeah.
So
that's one of those movies
fantastic
you'll be
movie.
like, heck yeah.
Okay.
They make you
I
cheer
need
up a
to
little
watch
bit.
that one.
They
Yeah,
also make you like cry laughing too though.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
makes sense. Let me see here. I'm kind of tilting. I'm not going to lie. All right, let me go. I'm going to go Joker for box office over 400.
Yep. Joker.
Obviously, such a great movie. And I see that now I'm headed on a really dark path of movies.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to lighten it up here with my next one, I think. But obviously, Joaquin Phoenix killed that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie kind of sent me all over the place because I went into it as like a comic book fan and I came out of it depressed and sad,
Yeah. Yeah.
but also just like so taken back by everything.
It's crazy how much money it made for like a R-rated film like it is too.
I think it just had so much to do with the comic book influence, right? Like it had so many people that were going to come watch it regardless of if it was going to be a comic book movie, like think like Heath Ledger Joker, or if it was going to be like a dark kind of artsy story, I guess you could say, with what it was.
And I mean, have you guys seen the second one at all?
No.
What a stinker. One of the worst movies of the year by far. Such a bad movie. Don't recommend it. But it's crazy that those two movies and like one is like very phenomenally done for itself. And then the other one is just like, what were they thinking? I mean, they made it into a musical.
For me, my next one, let me see here. I think I'm going to go ahead and do, I'll take Ford versus Ferrari for action horror. Obviously, it's an action.
Wait.
You can pick either or.
Horror. Yeah.
I wasn't hit.
Obviously, we did biopics a couple of weeks ago. We might have touched on it a little bit then, but pretty great movie. Obviously, a great story. Matt Damon, great in it. Obviously, Christian Bale as well. Both really big characters, but they play them really well and they hold up to them. I saw this movie in theaters for the first time and I thought it was pretty great.
Yeah. Two great performances and very well done. I remember coming out of the theater, I wasn't the biggest fan, and then I rewatched it at home and I became a way bigger fan. I don't know why in the theater I just didn't like it as much. But once I saw it in person, or I got to home, I don't know. Maybe I was just paying attention more.
I still need to see it. I'm going to go with drama thriller, El Camino.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
A Breaking Bad story.
Honestly, it's not nearly as good as like Breaking Bad itself, but I just enjoyed the story and the wrapping up Jesse's character.
I think it's a very like compelling like follow on. I don't know, because you get like the whole Better Call Saul follow on and of like that character, but then you're always like, I've always wondered before this came out. I was like, what happened to Jesse? Like, did he get his shit together? Like,
Yeah.
he could have totally gone away with never creating this, but I think it did a good enough job of like still fitting in like some narrative that was missing from his original storyline.
I think
without
it
ruining
fits his.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
I
fits
think
his
it did
character perfectly.
Yeah. And it didn't ruin Breaking Bad, which like a lot of these stuff when they try to do this, like a movie after a show, sometimes it just ruins like the character. I think this did perfectly and like kind of wrapped up his entire like arc. That's a sleeper pick for sure. Cool. For my pick, I'm gonna go with one of my favorite horror movies, and I'm gonna go with Midsommar. I love Midsommar. Like, this is a definition of like elevated horror. Florence Pugh in it. I want to just talk about Florence Pugh real quick. What a year for her. Like, she did Midsommar that year, Fighting with the Family, and Little Woman. So she did 3 like bangers of a movies, and this is like really her coming out year. But Midsommar, elevated horror. Literally at the beginning of the movie, it pretty much tells you how the movie's going to go without you even knowing it until you come back to the beginning. Have either of you seen this?
Have
I
not.
have not. I've heard that it's traumatizing.
It's very traumatizing, but if you like elevated horror and not like a slasher horror, and a horror that actually has like very good like plot details and character development, it's very good. Very
That
good.
sounds like a movie for me.
I was about to ask what elevated
It's
horror
also
is.
daytime horror, which is weird because most horror is set in the night. This is all set during the day, which is even creepier. Cool. Then for drama thriller, I'm going to go with one of the more fun movies from this year, Knives Out. I really like Knives Out. It has 2 follow-ons, with the ones being Glass Onion, and then it's about to come out in a couple weeks with Wake Up Dead Man. And I really like this mystery story. I think Chris Evans is interesting in this. Also, crazy year for Chris Evans doing Avengers Endgame and Knives Out. Crazy good cast and all of it. But the first one, so good. Such a good mystery.
I think for the next pick, I'm go wild card and do Jojo Rabbit.
It's a good one.
It's just
I have not seen this.
It's just
It's like,
I think it's kind of like a satire comedy that takes place in like Nazi Germany, but
Yeah.
where like the kid's imaginary best friend is Hitler.
yeah.
But then it goes from there where like his mom is like in the resistance against the Nazis secretly, and it actually becomes like a really nice story at the end.
I don't know how I haven't seen this movie, but I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, I think it's I think Taika Waititi is Hitler.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I've heard. I've seen that. And then Scarlett Johansson's like the lead actress, right? She's like the mother.
It is.
So for my next pick, I'm gonna go wild card 2, and I thought this is where you were going. I'm gonna take Uncut Gems. Yeah, I love this movie. I'm pretty sure this is Benny Safdie, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm
It's the
excited
Safdie
for.
brothers.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for the next one, Marty Supreme, coming out. That should be exciting. Expecting kind of the same tone from what I see with the trailers, but obviously this movie's great. Really a right turn for Adam Sandler. I mean, he really shut all the haters up with this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's the
He did Punch Drunk Love as a serious like role, and then he did this, and then Jay Kelly coming out this year is a really serious role for him. Yeah, he was great in this. Uncut Gems, so good, so well done.
It's a banger.
And then this might be a low hanging fruit, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna go Oscar nomination, the live action remake of The Lion King for Best Original Score. So did the score come out in 2019 or they've recycled it all? But to be fair, a lot of great actors were voicing all the animals in this, and all those actors did their own singing through all the songs in the movie. I actually really like the live action version better than the original. I just think it is a lot more visually, I don't know how you say it, I guess entertaining for me.
Yeah.
But it's pretty great. Just I prefer to watch that. I wouldn't say I like it better. Obviously, it's the same story, but it's just more fun to watch, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's a good pick.
This is where I'm getting a little thin on my draft board here.
Yeah, I think we all are.
But
I got a lot of good picks left.
I'm gonna go with horror movie. I'm gonna go. This isn't even really horror. Escape Room.
Okay.
Which I think is not a good movie, but it was fun to watch when it came out. It was very fun to watch with friends.
I just as an underrated movie, to be quite honest with you.
Not really. I mean, When I say not good, I mean,
Yeah, like thematically speaking, like this ain't gonna go for any Oscars or any like awards, but like it's a
yes,
fun movie to watch.
yes.
And if you like escape
That's
rooms and like
that's the point.
mystery, it's cool. I don't know.
I
It's
thought it
pretty
was
cool.
very fun to watch,
Yeah,
but I wouldn't say it's like the most critically acclaimed or scary.
it's definitely not that scary. It's also like an action movie, so it could also count as that.
I don't know.
The second one is on the same lines, kind of like goofy, but there's acid rain in it. So if you're into acid rain, check it out. Yeah. Now getting into my pick. So I'm just going to go. I don't want to say this is I'm going to go with the underrated or overrated, but I'm going to go with the underrated movie, which is Gentlemen. It's a British film. It has, I think, Matthew McConaughey in it. Let me get the cast real quick. It's a very fun movie. Colin Farrell's in it too. Just like it's like the Kingsman movie, but like instead of being British, it's like more realistic in a way, if that makes any sense at all. And
Yeah, it makes
very like
sense.
drawn out.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Matthew
It's not as
McConaughey,
campy.
Charlie. Yeah. And yeah, I thought it was really well done, but really interesting, really intriguing. There's like some cool deli scene with it where Colin Farrell's like getting picked on by like a bunch of like younger guys, and like he's like, "Do you even know who I am?" And they don't, and then he just kicks all their butts with like ketchup and mustard and hot dogs, and it's really fun to watch. Highly recommend it. It's like hidden within like Netflix and stuff, and I was like, "Huh, this looks interesting."
Yeah.
Now getting into comedy / animation, I guess this is hard. Screw it. I'll go with Booksmart. Have you guys seen this movie? It's like a coming of age story with two high school girls who one of them like wants to come out as a lesbian. The other one's like, they're all like, they didn't really enjoy high school. They were like nerds. They really were going after Ivy League schools, but then like their day before they graduate, they want to like experience a party life. So it's kind of like super bad, but like with girls and like right before they graduate. It's very funny. Very funny.
Sound fun.
Another A24 film.
I'm trying to call an audible right now.
I hear you typing away.
Yeah,
Gotta find one.
he's looking for something.
All right, we're gonna go with overrated. The Lighthouse.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen The Lighthouse, but
No way. You're saying it's overrated when you haven't even seen it.
everyone says it's good, and it looks like it's trying too hard to be an art film. Therefore, overrated.
Bro,
Justin, have you seen it?
no, but it's on my list. I want to watch it so bad. I just haven't had time.
Yeah, I actually do want to watch it. It looks really good.
I can't counter it because I haven't seen it either. So it's like, all right.
I'm gonna
I
like
get-
edit this back when we like watch it, and we're just gonna like rip into you during that section.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right.
Yeah.
So I have my final two picks here, I think, right? Okay. So, dude, one, I've been pivoting too because I can't find another like decent comedy movie from this age. So what I'm going to go with is a movie called Yesterday. Has anybody seen it?
I have.
Is that the one where the guy learns the Beatles songs?
Yeah, it was basically a Beatles biopic before the Beatles biopic. The whole premise is like he basically falls off his bike as lightning strikes, and somehow everybody in the world forgets about the Beatles, but he like plays music and still knows about all the Beatles songs and everything like that. And so he just like rises to the top, just playing songs that were already made for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a good story. It's funny. It's kind of quirky. Like it's just, I can't remember the actor's name, but it's good. And then for my overrated or underrated, I feel like I have a lot of opinions about a lot of movies, from this year. So I'm going to not be a negative Nelly like Mason, and I'm going to pick underrated The Sound of Metal. Strictly just because I haven't heard many people say bad things about this. I just don't think enough people know about this movie. And I wish they did. It is a really beautifully told story. And it's so well done. And the sound design of the movie, it's about a drug addict who plays the drums, but he's going deaf. And I think the sound design is one of the best parts of the movie. And it's super dark. And my list is looking really depressing right now.
Hey, you got a Ford versus Ferrari to pick it up, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that and the Lion King, but even then,
Yeah. Lion King is kind of depressing too, and so is Ford Ferrari. So And yesterday, like, brings in John Lennon, and it's like, all right.
Yeah, at the end, it's like a CGI John Lennon, and he's an artist.
Lord.
He's like a painting artist instead of a musician artist.
Yeah, and you're like, oh
So
my
it's like,
God. Why is
how
it
different life could have been
Well, at least he's like alive.
if he just made it.
Yeah. So Justin's got some of the most depressing movies.
Anyways, on a happier note, box office, I'm going to go with Toy Story 4.
I saw that one coming.
Dude, overrated. That's on my overrated list. That franchise should have ended after 3 movies. It was a perfect trilogy until Disney needed to make more toys.
The movie looks really
animation's
cool. Like,
great.
the animation's really great. Just the story's just meh. And the fact that they're making a 5th one pisses me off. Like, just leave it at 3.
Fantastic.
It is. The animation is really cool. Cool. All right, my last pick. I got a lot of honorable mentions. This is a great year. Surprised I have this many open, to be quite honest with you. But I'm going to go with one of my, like, I say favorite movies of this year because these other categories, like, stuff barely beat it out for me for it. And that's Little Women. Very, very good movie. Based off like a book, another movie that came out in like the 90s with like Winona Ryder. But this one, the cast is crazy for this, first off. Very well done. The Little Woman. Let me just say the cast real quick once I can pull it up.
I've definitely heard you hype this movie up before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I give it a 5 out of 5, like a 10 out of 10 for me. Like, I love this movie. It's like it's Saoirse Ronan, but she's a great actress. She's also in Lady Bird. Emma Watson, Florence Pugh, Laura Dern, Timothy Chalamet, and Tracy Letts. Like, insane. Bob Odenkirk, like, such a good cast. Highly recommend this movie. Very, like, I mean, it's like an old, like, colonial type of story about love and, like, people falling in love with each other, falling out, not falling for the right people. It follows, like, this family. So, yeah. Cool.
Sweet.
Well, any honorable mentions we want to say, or do you want to say the teams first and then honorable mentions?
I just want to mention one. I think Dr. Sleep is the most overrated movie of any movie of all time. Completely ruins everything The Shining stands on. And I just wanted to say that again. I'm pretty sure I've said it on the podcast.
Is this even a 2019 movie, or are you just taking a shot?
No, it is. It is.
It is.
I ain't just pulling it out of nowhere.
I'm surprised you didn't say that. Honestly, I expected you to say that.
It was up there, but I just didn't want to be in a bad mood because I'm already depressed from all my movies.
Word up. I could just rattle them off if you guys want me to.
Yeah,
I got
go ahead.
A bunch of honorable mentions. So for Oscar nominations, Adam Driver and Marriage Story. Surprised no one picked Marriage Story. Marriage Story is a great story. Also very depressing movie though. So like,
it's so depressing.
But
it's so
Adam
hard
out of
Driver's
room.
so good in it. So good in it.
That's a hard watch.
Yeah. And I thought somebody was going to take Brad Pitt for me and Parasite within the first 2 picks. So I had these other 2 ready. Luckily, I got Brad Pitt, Saoirse Ronan, and Florence Pugh in Little Woman. I already picked the movie, but those 2 performances, go watch the movie. Like, it's insane. Over 400 million. Pokemon, Detective Pikachu. I think that's a kind of a fun movie.
It was fun.
Drama thriller. I also had Richard Jewell and Irishman. I'm not a big Irishman fan. I think it's trying to hit on like the nostalgia factor of like the Goodfellas cast and like just 90s actors with like the story not being all the way there. But a lot of people love it. Comedy, animation, The Dirt. That was this year. Motley Crue story. Really just fun comedy movie about them. As well as Plus One has Sam Quaid in it, the guy from The Boys, as well as like pretty fun. Has Ali Wong in it too. Action, horror, fighting with family, Florence Pugh, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Also like kind of like a surprising good movie for me. That's like about like WWE wrestlers, like 2 siblings trying to become Us. I was also surprised neither of you picked Us.
I
just haven't seen it.
You never seen Us? The Jordan Peele? That's crazy. And then Spider-Man Far From Home. Surprised that also wasn't.
That movie was dog trash. He's not even in New York, the whole movie.
I mean, that's why it's called Far From Home.
Terrible plot, dude. Didn't even give Mysterio powers, and Mysterio was the highlight of that whole movie.
Ready or Not, another like campy horror kind of film where it's like hide and seek, but the family's trying to kill like the wife. It's interesting. Extremely Wicked. It's like about Ted Bundy, and like Zac Efron plays Ted Bundy. Really interesting as well. Seeing Zac Efron kind of cook. And then I'm surprised, Justin, you didn't pick Rocket Man. I thought you really liked Rocket Man.
That was on my underrated list specifically, but I kind of already, I didn't consider that a comedy because it gets kind of dark in there too. So I didn't gonna put that at comedy, but yeah, great story about Elton John. And I actually, for a biopic, I really like that I guess you could say, fictional elements they kind of floated in to add to the music of the movie. He'd kind of break out in the song and it would turn into this whole like fantastical looking set. I like how it was a little bit of biopic, but also like musical worked into it as well.
Yeah. And then Queen and Slim, it's on Netflix. It has Daniel Kaluuya and Joni Turner Smith. Very interesting story. It's not based on a true story at all, but it's about like this couple that they accidentally kill a cop because the cop is like wrongfully arresting them, and then it follows them like on the run and then become like these big figures in like the world as they're on the run. Just interesting thing to look at, like just different cultures of life kind of idea. And then Good Boys. It's a short show about like these kids in like middle school, elementary school as they go to their first party. And I don't know, it's kind of funny because they just like, they say some like really crazy stuff for like kids that are like 11 years old in this movie.
It's like a mom comedy, I think. It reminds me of like Bad Moms.
Yeah.
It might be the same director.
I just thought it was hilarious because it's like these kids just being assholes the whole movie. But cool. Awesome. So we can just go through our teams real quick. So for me, Oscar nomination, I did Brad Pitt, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Box office, over 400 million. I got Avengers Endgame, drama thriller, Knives Out, comedy animation, Booksmart, action horror, Midsommar, underrated or overrated, The Gentleman as being underrated, and then Wild Card's Little Women.
And then for mine, for Oscar nomination, I did The Lion King, specifically for best score. For over 400 million, I did The Joker. For drama thriller, I did Parasite. Comedy animation, I did Yesterday. Action horror, I did Ford vs. Ferrari. Underrated or overrated, Sound of Metal, underrated. And then Wild Card, Uncut Gems.
And then for Oscar nomination, I did best screenplay for 1917. For box office, I did Toy Story 4. For drama thriller, El Camino. For comedy, I did The Peanut Butter Falcon. Adventure or action or horror, Escape Room. For overrated, The Lighthouse. And wild card, Jojo Rabbit. And I stand by that.
I haven't seen it, but overrated.
I'll die on that hill.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you had some fun and check out Bong Joon Ho's movies. Thanks for listening.
So yeah.